This is the Outdoor Journey Show, where life takes you outdoors. The Outdoor Journey Show with Matt Gaddis and Ty Morgan, brought to you by Journey Hunts and the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation.
Welcome to the Outdoor Journey Show. Matt Gaddis, Ty Morgan here with you, and we are talking now far away hunting.
Yeah, very far away. We're going to talk about New Zealand, which is a dream destination for many outdoorsmen and women. And it is for me. You know, Ty, I'm pretty pumped because this March, Lord willing, I'm going to get to fulfill a dream of mine, man. I've been looking at wanting to hunt New Zealand for the last 5 or 6 years, but wanted to do it right and wanted to find the right outfitter. And I'm going to be taking 7 hunters with me for the first week of March. And I've got, or for the week of 11th to the 18th. And then I've got a second group now that we're starting to fill. We've got 2 hunters and we've got 6 spots open, but we did our research and looked at New Zealand for a long time until we found Richard Burden of Glendine. And Richard has an incredible place. I believe is a third-generation owner. We're going to hear from him in just a minute. But he's on the South Island of New Zealand, and I believe the best outfitter on the South Island of New Zealand. So, Richard, all the way from New Zealand, how are you today?
Very good, Matt. We've got lovely weather down here today. It's spring in New Zealand at the moment, so it's a complete opposite to what you guys are experiencing.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a real good thing. Richard, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Glendine.
Well, I'm married to Sarah, who's an Australian, and we've got 2 young children, 11 and 10, and they both enjoy hunting in the outdoors. My parents are also on our property, and they're involved in the business, and my grandfather, father, and we've always been active outdoor people, and we've fished and hunted in lots of places around the world. We love where we live, and it's a pretty special place because we're in the heart of the South Island, and it's a beautiful area surrounded by natural lakes and rivers system. So we've got an abundance of good fishing and tenured game, and in New Zealand we're very lucky. We've got very lenient rules, and we're allowed to pretty much fish and hunt all year round.
Well, tell us a little bit about your property, and I was intrigued when you were at my house just a few weeks ago, and I was intrigued with the story of the property.
Well, the property's 15,000 acres. My grandfather originally bought 45,000 acres, and my cousin farms part of it, and part of it's gone back into public conservation land. So in New Zealand, about 40% of the South Island is in public conservation land, and because we're members of the New Zealand Professional Hunting Guides, we've also got concessions in that area. And what makes our place one of the great spots is that it's got great terrain. We've got great tracks that we can get around. It's in the heart of the New Zealand high country. The high country is the main southern Alps that run down the centre of New Zealand, and it provides a pretty unique environment for the animals. Where we have the red stag, of course, there's the Himalayan tahr, the chamois, fallow deer, South Pacific goats, and araparas, and the species are all quite unique because there were no natural mammals in New Zealand other than a bat. And so they were all introduced way back in the 1860s by the Acclimatisation Society, and they've done extremely well in New Zealand.
Well, and a lot of people, Richard, focus on that red stag. I know that's an attention getter for a lot of people, but boy, you've got a lot of fabulous species.
We have, and that's what makes one of our properties down here so unique, in the fact that the chamois and the Himalayan tahr are only in the South Island, and that they pretty much live in the high country, pretty rugged terrain. It reminded me some of the areas in the Colorado Rockies, and that the opportunity to hunt those tahr and chamois in New Zealand can be done in several different ways. You can use a helicopter, and that's normally an aerial-assisted helicopter trip, which allows you to get up to the mountains and into the areas where it's pretty difficult to hunt in those areas. Yeah, there's some seasons that we have licenses for. You can fish in the lakes all year round, but duck hunting starts in May, and that's also a pretty big sport. In fact, you know, we all love playing rugby, and the All Blacks are over in Chicago at the moment. They're going to be playing an American Eagles team this weekend, and they even cancel some of the rugby matches for duck shooting in New Zealand. It's so big.
Wow. Well, I know how big rugby is because it's that way also in South Africa. And you know, when the All Blacks are around, it's always a tough match. So I've learned a little bit of rugby in the last 3 or 4 years, without a doubt. What are the best times of the year to hunt, Richard? Tell us a little bit about seasons. And I know you just told us about the duck season, but what about your big game? What is the best time of the year to hunt?
Well, the best time to hunt is the complete complete opposite to you guys. So it's coming into your spring week, and it's coming into our autumn. So it's February through to June, and typically the average temperature around that time is around that sort of 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and by June it will be down to 40 degrees. But New Zealand, we're pretty lucky with the climate. We're on the 45th parallel, which is about equivalent to Salem, Oregon. And so if you want to shoot a really big red stag, then the best time to come is that late February, early March. We've got some of the greatest red deer genetics in the world. The New Zealand farmers, around 2 million deer in New Zealand, and so therefore they've really enhanced the genetics from the original deer that were introduced from the 1860s, were originally from Scotland and England, but they've now since sourced genetics from all over the world, and you'll see some monster red stags, and they're all measured in SCI, and the record's now sitting out over 700 SCI, which is just hard to even imagine, carrying that sort of weight around in your head, and up to 40 pounds of antler mass on an individual stag. So the red stag, if you're really after him, I recommend that March, April. The rut starts about the 20th of March and goes through to about the 20th of April. Then the Himalayan tahr and chamois. If you're a keen mountain hunter and a fit person, then that May, June is the rut for the Himalayan tahr and chamois, and that's a fantastic hunt. And you don't have to be super fit because we've got different options. And one of the great things about what we can offer at Glendine is that there's 4 or 5 different ways of hunting the Himalayan tahr, from through to game estates, free range, private properties, public lands, helicopter assisted hunts. So we have a lot of good options available, but it does depend on what you want to hunt a wee bit. You can do all 5 or 6 species at any time of those, but sometimes it's harder to get 100% success rate.
Richard, tell us about that. You mentioned the estate and the free range, because I know a lot of outfits in New Zealand don't have the opportunity like you do to also offer free range hunting. Tell us a little bit about those two scenarios.
Well, that's one of our pointed differences, that we're able to offer a free range in New Zealand is available because of the amount of public land that we have around. We've got 2 World Heritage Parks, Mount Aspiring. There is a lot of free range in the South Island, but most of the game estates in New Zealand are fenced properties where they're managed. And if you really want to have if you want to shoot a big stag, then you'll find it in a game estate, and there's many of them. There's probably about 35 different operators within New Zealand that offer that type of hunt, and they will range from 1,500 acres to 5,000 acres. We're able to offer a free range hunt because the property that my grandfather bought back in basically covers 45,000 acres, and it's got landlocked between 2 major lake systems. So the deer tend to live within that region, and in New Zealand, if you've got private property, you're able to manage the deer, which we do in conjunction with the staff at the Department of Conservation, which are like your Fish and Wildlife people. But those deer, we manage them, and we, if the numbers are getting too high, we use the local deer stalkers, and we do hunts training courses. We've got the New Zealand Professional Hunting Guides coming down here in December, and they're going to be running a course, and we'll cull animals out of the wild herd den. And so the free range area, typically you'd find more bronze and silver type animals, which, when I say bronze and silver, they're based on the American scoring system, SCI.
Correct.
Our title sponsor, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, is always seeking to improve habitat for elk and really all species of animal by securing land for the future of hunting. Today's email question of our hunting bag comes from Susan, who wants to know, is there a great female bow setup that we can recommend? And I know you're a big fan of bear archery, and so that would certainly be probably the first go-to that you would suggest.
Oh, no doubt about it. Bear archery offers their high-end bow, which is called the Rumor, which my wife and one of my daughters shoot. great, and it's really the Cadillac of female bows right now. And then they also have a great new offering that just came out, the Cruiser bow, which is in many colors: blue, pink, purple, orange, black, camo. And it's a great bow, completely set up, ready to hunt for under $400. Either way, I guarantee you're going to love your bow.
Absolutely. Well, Susan, thank you for your question. We'll be sending you a complimentary Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation knife in the mail to you. And thanks for your question. Again, you can email your questions to Matt at JourneyHunts.com to get on next week's show, possibly. All right. When we come back, we'll be talking more with Richard and how you can be a part of a dream destination hunt in New Zealand.
This is the Outdoor Journey Show, where life takes you outdoors.